Coming in at number 43 on the Locked On Senators NHL Draft rankings from the Kelowna Rockets, it's Caden Price.
Yes, we get to cover another Kelowna kid. I love the Kelowna Rockets, and this is a very intriguing prospect, Ross, because EP made it clear throughout all their scout viewings. It all depends what day you're seeing him. Some days they're like, oh my God, this kid has it. Let's bump him up our rankings. He's showing me so much potential. And then the next game, you're like, maybe we need to revisit this. Like it seems like, I forget which prospect it was that we talked about this, but the highs are very high, but also the lows are very low. You got to find some way to meet in the middle with Caden Price, but we'll get to all that. Starting off with his stats, like we mentioned, Kelowna Rockets player, 6'1", 185 pounds, and he is a left shot defenseman. In 65 games, he had 5 goals, 35 assists for 40 points, and 43 PIMs. And Ross, he did not lead the Wildcats in points, but that's all right. It happens to the best of us. But yeah, Caden Price is a very impressive player for multiple different reasons. Ross, I'll just spout out while you change that graphic there. He seems like a smart, disciplined defenseman. Like he's so confident breaking the puck up the ice. He weaves through opponents with ease. Although he's one of those guys that when he gets to the O zone, he doesn't really have a plan. So he just kind of chips it in or lobs it towards the net. And it's like, okay, I got us here. You guys do the rest here. So the offensive abilities, he doesn't have a way to kind of finish off those plays, which, isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like having a defenseman that can just get you into the O zone and have your players, your forwards, forecheck and really make a difference there can be effective as well. But you'd like to see once in a while him pull a couple tricks up his sleeve just so that other teams' defenders aren't just ready waiting for that dump in.
How do you help a defenseman who struggles with consistency?
That's a great question, Ross. I think maybe you try to find small things that he can do away from the puck to keep him engaged in the game, right? Like I feel like the players that struggle with consistency, it's like they're not feeling the puck. And when they're not feeling the puck, they don't feel involved. Whereas Caden Price, there is other ways that he can be effective. Like he has good defensive instincts. He shuts down plays at the blue line. And I even found when he shuts down a play, he doesn't just stop there. He can turn it over and go the other way as well. And his skating is so good that he can use that to erase space on attackers and kind of close in his gaps. So I think the thing too, Ross, is this is a guy that he's a young player. You're looking at an August 24th, 2005 birthday. So it's a lot to ask of him to have a solid game night in and night out, especially in the WHL. It's a tough league. So I'm not too concerned about the consistency just because a young defenseman with a lot on his plate, I think he's going to figure things out.
I really do too. I think that the upside is pretty high on him as a two-way defenseman. You just have to be patient with him and be able to work through some of the growing pains that could cause Pillsy. Let's read what I've updated to because we got a whole province to shout out here.
Saskatoon product. Yes. I mean, hey, Saskatchewan, say what you want about it, but they produce good, classic, hard-nosed, smart hockey players. Like a lot of prospects coming out of there. I mean, what are you going to do in Sask other than farm and play hockey? So that's what they're good at.
Now, I don't think he's going to be another Braden McNabb, another Sask product, just won the Stanley Cup with the Vegas Golden Knights. But I do think there can be a shutdown element to his game. I think it just really depends on what system someone puts him in. And I think the next 3 years are going to be huge because he could develop into one of those steady top 4 defensemen who you just never have to worry about. You know what player comparable I think he should aspire to be? And it's not the sexiest name, but I do think that there's a lot of kind of good, solid upside to it, is Dylan DeMello. Like, wouldn't that be kind of a perfect player comparable? Like, I don't think he's going to be a point producer at the NHL, but he could be a complimentary top 4 defenseman who you put with a solid defenseman who likes roaming around with the puck, and he's going to have a good first pass. He's going to defend decent and just be able to kind of be an all-around good defenseman in the NHL.
No, the only reason I laugh is because I feel like I've done the Dylan DeMello comparison 3 times already. We're just big Dylan DeMello guys. Can you blame us?
Well, it's also a sense of he's kind of the poster boy for guys where less is more.
Yep.
And for some of these defensemen, when they're trying to do a little too much, it feels like less is more. It's like the scene from Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Paul Rudd, coaching up Jason Segel on thing. He's like, no, do less on the surfboard. Do less.
No, do less.
Too much.
Do less. Yeah.
Too much. Just chill out. It's all good. So for Caden Price, I mean, a 19-point improvement is nice. He went from playing on a top team in Kelowna last year to a team where it wasn't so good this year for them. With that, I think comes added responsibility. But one thing that I think teams will fall in love with Caden Price is the August 24th birthday. That's one of the youngest players in the entire draft. So you've got that much extra room to work with him over the course of his development.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think that's something that needs to be noted here. I see the potential. I don't think that that he's someone that the inconsistencies you really need to be worried about. I see him as being an early second round pick, Ross. And I got Caden Price at 4 stars just because I see the potential and I think he can make it work. He's just a young player.
I've got a nice one for you from April 2023. So after the trade, there's lots of guys I model my game after. I like Heiskanen. I like Shabbat.
Oh.
And another guy I've watched recently is Jacob Chikrin. Is this guy a sicko?
This guy might be a Sens fan. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And man, Chikrin's another kind of example who has, I think, a lot more physical tools than a Dylan DeMello, but where it's just like a calm, steady game, great puck, like great stick positioning that helps him break up rushes a ton. So Caden Price, I give him 3.8 stars. Are we doing 0.8 stars? Can I do a 0.8? Because I think 3.5 is too low. I think 4 for me might be a little high. Out of these 3 defensemen, I have them in the order that we're doing them. I think a little bit below Etienne Morin and a little bit higher than Theo Lindstein. So with that, we've got Caden Price coming in at 43 on our Locked On Senators NHL Draft rankings. The projection, I think, will be a few years away.
Yep.
Still, the payout could be big for a guy like Caden Price. For more, check out Locked On Senators on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and check out all the draft coverage we have over the next little while.